Hey friends, Rick from BCW Supplies inviting you to join me as I travel across the United States visiting with local hobby stores and having a conversation with them. From gaming stores to comic shops to sports, collectibles, and more. We will take a look at the origins up to the present day events of the store, and if we're lucky, maybe a glimpse into the future as BCW shines the spotlight on their store and their stories. So please join me as we hit the road for the BCW Spotlight. Hey friends, Rick from BCW Supplies here at Comic Town in Columbus, Ohio with the BCW Spotlight. And we're sitting here with the owner, Ryan. Ryan, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for coming out.
Not a problem. So I do want to start off this spotlight by asking, how did you get started in this industry, comics and gaming?
It was a weird one. All right, so I originally am from Elyria, Ohio. It's like a small town up north in Ohio. And I moved to Westerville, Ohio. I was about age 13 or so, and didn't have my mind set on any future or anything, and just ended up getting into the comics and gaming community here in Columbus, Ohio. Started working for a store, and just kind of one thing led to another. The owner of the store at the time, who was my mentor, felt that they wanted to kind of try the corporate world out, because there are certain pressures that you get from being a small business owner, and they wanted to not be under those anymore. Just made me an offer that was the right thing at the right time in my life. I was 24, 25, so I had the energy to work a ton, didn't have the ability to know the dangers of failure, so I was able to be fearless and actually do things to grow the company. But it was that, I love, comics and gaming are two of my biggest passions. So it's this really, and this is gonna be stealing from somebody else who owns a shop in Columbus. I am fortunate that I don't work at a job. I am at a place that I have hundreds of friends that share the same passions, the same kind of mutual history, that come and visit me every day, every week, throughout the year. So it's one, I don't think I could go back to a cubicle at any point from here on out. But yeah, no, that's kind of the.
Okay, so started off with gaming and comics roughly the same time at an impressionable teenage year, and then the owner just saw the opportunity to say, hey, would you like a big headache? No, I'm kidding. Would you, but the owner said, hey, you're passionate about this.
Yeah, handed off the baton to somebody that he felt would really, and I'm incredibly grateful for him seeing that in me. But yeah, just hand off the baton to the next generation, and 25 years later.
Here you are now. So you are not the original owner of Comic Town, or was it under a different name at that time?
Oh, all right. There's like a flow chart. Comic Town as a business entity has been around since roughly 30 years. The first Comic Town was opened up in Westerville, Ohio, right behind the high school and junior high that I went to. And that was opened by Terry Waltermeyer. And the strange thing is, it was the exact same location as a comic store existed before. And it was actually, Wizard Comics was the first store that I went to when I moved to Columbus. They went out of business, and then Terry Waltermeyer created Comic Town and started in the same 2,000 square foot building. And that's where I started going on a regular basis. And Terry wanted to create additional, like, not franchises necessarily, because each store had its own personality that was brought by the owner of that particular location. And so he started up a Comic Town location over on Morse Road with Jeff Hatton, who was getting out of the military, huge D&D fan, huge Shadowrun fan, huge comic book collector, and that entity started like 1993 or so, and I was hired on there as the first register monkey for a while, and it just kind of grew from there. I started being handed off a little bit more responsibility with each passing year, and then just 2000-ish, he wanted to move on.
Okay, so post 2000, Comic Town has moved from the original location that I visited.
Yes.
And so now we're in a larger facility.
Yes. Yeah.
And you guys have more play space, more comic space, more shelf space. So walk us through briefly, if you will, why the transition, why the move, and how has it been since you've moved?
Oh yeah, it's one that we were, with each passing pre-release or regional Pro Tour qualifier that we were offered to run, it became snugger and snugger at the shop. It was only 3,200 square feet, so there wasn't a lot of room to play with. And as we started having to make really tough decisions on, do we carry this action figure line? Do we have space for it? And then Scott and I, we were coming back from a Pro Tour qualifier, I think, that we were running at the convention center, and we're just like, a lot of these mid-range events would be so much easier if we didn't have to pack up everything, take it with us. Why don't we just find a place that is large enough to run events? So we came across the location we're in now, 7,000 square feet. So we've got about 4,000 that get dedicated to gaming specifically. And it's just table space, a ton of room to hang out and play. And it was just one where we just wanted to make it easier on all of our guests. Because that's one of the things, like if you weren't big into gaming, you're just here for comics, and we were running an event, there wasn't a lot of space to move around, and vice versa for people hanging out to game. And with this, we're able to have everybody spread out, everybody being able to do whatever they're here for, shop Funko Pops or draft whatever the newest set is. So it's working out really, really well for us, or it did up until COVID, and we ran into the same issues that everybody else in the world has. And we're beginning to get past that. We're beginning to start offering more gaming little by little.
Okay. And so I also know you not just as the owner of the store.
Yep.
But you also happen to be one of the talking heads on a video series on YouTube.
Yeah, no, and it's a weird one for me that people actually want to watch it. But for the past few years, myself and Victor Dandridge Jr. from Vantage In-House Productions have been doing a weekly, spoiler-free review show for comics, where we'll pick 6 to 10 books that week that we really, really love, and we try to focus on the good stuff and focus on the positivity and how awesome comics are right now in our reviews. And that's like a really strange one, because we'd started doing it and it wasn't getting that many views for a while, and kind of makes sense. It's just two dudes talking about comics on the internet. Like, well, I haven't heard that before. And we had this really strange interaction or set of emails that we got from the writer Mark Miller from like Superman Red Son, Jupiter's Legacy, and wanted to know if we would be cool with him showing or hosting our show on his website. We're like, yeah, and like, clearly we're being pranked. Like, that's there's no way.
Right.
And then it ends up like, no, it's legit. He's dead serious, and that's where it kind of took off. And that's one of those weird things with comics and gaming, is you might not necessarily know how many people really love the same things you do, except for moments like that where you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, there's a ton of people that are reading comics every week and loving them. So yeah, no, it's been a really cool ride. We're about to hit another milestone. I think we're creeping up on the 400th episode.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's.
And what is the name of this?
Oh, geez, I'm bad at promotion. Black, white, and red all over. And you can see it. We've got it on our Facebook page, our website, but if you just want to check out YouTube, it's Comic Town TV, and then we've got a playlist with all the new episodes.
Awesome. And it's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly?
Weekly, yeah.
Wow.
Every week. It's one that film it usually Tuesday nights, and just every week we just do it, and it's one of the high points of my week. It's so much fun.
Well, now that we're kind of talking about the present day, Comic Town, the new location, black, white, and red all over, why don't you fill us in a little bit with some of how customers, or what services you offer for customers on the comic side, and then how can people find out about playing in this ample play space?
Yeah, one of the big things that we offer on the comic book side is a subscription service. So you let us know which books you get on a regular basis, and as they come out, we'll make sure you get them. And that's a way that nobody misses a single panel of whatever their favorite story is. We've done that for years. What we do is you get bags and boards, free bags and boards with your new books, and then we do 20% off of bag and board and back issues. And as I reference bags and boards, remember, we prefer BCW when we can get them. But yeah, that's the big thing on the comic side. We do special orders on a weekly basis, so if there's something that we don't have but we can get it for you, we'll do our best to get that in for you. We've got our website, we've got Amazon, we sell stuff on there too. So if you can't physically stop by the shop, eBay, there's ways to get stuff from us.
Awesome. And now that's the comics. Now, can they sign up a pull list online, or do they have to do it on the phone or in store? How do you?
Multiple options.
Okay.
It can be done in person. It can be done over the phone, and also we use League of Comic Geeks as like our software for it, which is this really cool website that lets you know which books are shipping when, what all the different covers look like, and you can create your subscription there and create your account and then share it with us. If someone's doing it via mail order, they want to give us a call to make sure that we know we're supposed to be mailing stuff out to them. But yeah, it's super, super easy.
Awesome. And so that's the comic side of things. What about the gaming side of things? Do you guys have a local community? And what are your focuses in gaming at this point?
Yeah, the Columbus, Ohio area is amazing. It's got a vibrant Dungeons and Dragons community. It's got an equally vibrant Magic the Gathering community. There's also like Dragon Ball Super and other games like that. But the ones that we focus on mostly are Magic and D&D. We usually offer, and as things are opening up, we have what's called Adventurers League, which is like the Wizards of the Coast official Dungeons and Dragons sort of weekly event series.
Right.
So we use that, and we've got some amazing DMs that come in and run the events for us. We've also got on Magic, we are going to be building back up our weekly event series. We would have Monday night was Modern, now it's Thursday night, it's going to be Modern. And so we're going to be offering those things for people to come in and actually like get that that in-person play. We've got our gaming tables are open whenever the store is open. So if you got a group of buddies that want to come in and play Commander all afternoon, come on in. There's no table fee, just come in and hang out and play. And once like invitational qualifiers start opening back up, if SCG goes and does that again, we'll be offering those for our players. Just anything to try to really offer the best play experience for our guests possible.
Awesome. And I have played in many events.
A couple, yeah.
Not far for me to drive to Columbus, and I do remember, again, pre-pandemic, packed house on pre-release night.
Yes.
I mean, and it was at this new location, which was impressive because I'd played in a couple of the events at the old location and played in events here, and I was blown away. The numbers were amazing, but it always ran smooth. It was, I don't remember any hiccups. I was a little delirious after that many rounds of a pre-release, but we'll talk about that later. But no, I mean, so you guys have helped cultivate what is a fun, inviting community for Magic, for D&D. I can personally attest to, I've never had a negative play experience in this area or with people from this area. Do you have a calendar or an events place where people can see if they're new in town, if they're visiting? How can they find out what's going on at Comic Town on that day?
First, thanks for that review. Yeah, we try really, really hard to make sure our players love the event they're playing in. Like, we can't control what if you top deck the wrong card at the right time, but we can certainly make sure that your event starts on time, pairings are entered in correctly. We've got up on our website, worldofcomictown.com, we got an events page there. On our Facebook page, we have a list of events that people can find there. On the Wizards side, on the Wizards website, they have an event locator service that will show every event that each store is running in a given area, so that's another place to see what we've got going on.
Awesome. And plugged in, you guys are active on social media. I know at least on Facebook and Twitter. You guys typically are active there. We've got the current web show, coming up on episode number 400.
Yeah.
I know it kind of, when you say numbers like that, you go like, I kind of feel old. Like no,
100%. Like, we've now reached a point that we've been around long enough that like someone in their like 20s will say like, oh man, you've been here forever, and I'm not like, I don't immediately know who they are, but they got their kid with them, and that's when I find out 20 plus years ago, their father was in with them, and then like there's now this like third generation of people that were like sharing love of comics, sharing love of Pokemon, whatever it is that is your particular your brand of geekdom. Yeah, it's so it is like really it's humbling because I would have never thought, 25 or 26, creeping up on 50, that would be such an impact and a part of so many generations and so many people's lives.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, it's totally weird to think about.
So that's everything present day with the shop and the web show. Tell us, is there something that you enjoy outside of these two passions that you would like to share?
Yeah. Hockey is hockey and skateboarding, but hockey primarily. Skateboarding, you can see the replacement elbow. But hockey is something I've played for decades. I'm a goaltender, so I probably should have learned to skate better before getting into the sport. But yeah, like it's super fun. It's an outlet where I can be really, really competitive, and you just be stupid. Standing in front of a frozen puck is never a smart thing. But yeah, that's my big thing. My kids never got into it, but they're hardcore into gaming and comics. So that's like, they're still
less dental bills, more subscription fees.
100%.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So we've kind of touched on this. So are there any programs, past or present, that Comictown is involved in that you would like to give a shameless plug for, whether it's charities, benefits, things of that nature? What does Comictown invest back into the community?
Yeah, all right. One of our big ones, Free Comic Book Day, happens every year, except for 2020. So we buy books, we just give those out free to whoever comes in. What we do is we'll intentionally over-order those books so that libraries, schools, charitable organizations, educators, we give them dibs on it. So like whatever we have left over, we tailor to get those books in the hands of kids that are in hospitals or like learning centers, or when they're at a place for at-risk youth, just to share the love and to kind of give people that might be in a situation where it's hard to see outside of a negative experience a little bit of like peace of mind. Which ties into Kid Again, which is a charity that we've worked with in the past, which is I think they're all over the Midwest. What they do is kids that are like with cancer or some kind of degenerative issue, they try to give their family a day of normalcy. So like, we'll get you to Kings Island and make sure that everything goes smooth and you can just focus on being a kid and not being a kid with cancer. So that's one that we work with. We also work with Kaleidoscope Youth Center here in Columbus, Ohio, and they are a group that helps kids that are LGBTQ that are having issues where their parents or home situation might not be as understanding as they should be. So they have counseling centers there. They have rooms where people can hang out. So we'll get supplies to them when we can. And the third, which is probably the biggest one for me, is the Autism Society of Ohio. I've got four kids, two of which are on the spectrum, and they provide services to help parents and help kids and advocate for both of them to make sure that their kids get the best therapies, the best services, the best school situations possible, which is really difficult to do because autism, as you know, is not a linear sort of like finite set of things. It's different with each kid.
Right.
And that's one that I'm fortunate that myself and my wife are able to get the best therapies, and because where we live and what we can get. And knowing and seeing the issues that other people are having, it's because it sucks, and people on the spectrum are people, and it's just anything to help that be a reality we want to be a part of.
And that's awesome, and it's really heartfelt, and I know that it does touch. I mean, as you know, my wife works in that field. As a life skills teacher for K through 6 on the severe and profound side of children with disabilities. It's something that we've been involved with and we're passionate about as well. Again, when companies are giving back to their community on multiple different fronts, especially ones that hit home, you always feel happy to do business with them. And we appreciate what you do in the Columbus area. And also the content that you provide for Black, White, and Red all over, so people anywhere in the world can learn about comics. So now my last question for you, and again, I thank you for your time on this, but I want you to gaze into the future.
Yeah.
I know we had a rough period. Obviously, everybody did that 2020, 2021. Yeah. Gaze into the future for me. Where do you see Comic Town in the distant future? Where do you want to see Comic Town 2 years, 5 years down the road?
Yeah. One of the things that I envision is being kind of a one-stop pop culture, comic, gaming, Funko Pop kind of location. And we've got the size and space inside to do it. So it's a matter of making sure that we build up the correct inventories and get word out to people as the various hiccups in the supply chain eventually will loosen up. We had been working on getting some kind of event series started pre-COVID for Magic. I would like to revisit that and try to find something that works and really kind of helps build the competitive play base in Central Ohio again. It's one we're blessed to be in a city that is as large as Columbus and as diverse as Columbus, and I really, really want to make our shop reflect that and be an inclusive environment for all types of people's pop culture needs and whatnot. So that's the kind of like the big picture.
Yeah, no, and that's perfect. Now, I do know, and I know I'm leading you on this a little bit, but I do know that you guys were just talking to me about in the next year or two, it looks like you guys are also trying to expand from just the collectible card game and comic side of things, and you're moving towards a board game?
Yeah, that's one that we're little by little, we just got signed on with Asmodee to be one of their premier retailers. I think is the program with the top 40 board games and whatnot. We're slowly building that area up, and I'm learning, like, I know about some board games, but there's such a variety of stuff out there now that every person, there's a board game for everybody.
Yeah.
So going through and learning about that has been really cool. We've got built up, and we're going to be. We've got, actually, by this point we'll have it going. We've got a library of board games that we're going to have for people just to come in and hang out and play. We've got those. So yeah, just come into the shop. We've got that program that we'll have going for you. Because as our board game section grows, we're gonna have to redisplay and buy new showcases and everything. But yeah, there's gonna be a ton of stuff, and yeah, it's being able to now hang out with my kids and play board games where it happened a little bit when I was a kid, but now with like the diversity of like different games, I'm able to like sit and play scary horror games with my daughter and son who are super goth, and then with my other kids, just play something that's just a little bit more fast paced and fun. It's really, really cool. I think that's one of the things that's going to be the future, and board games are going to be really, really big moving forward.
Awesome. Well, and I wish you the best of luck with the board game, with all the future plans as far as getting the revitalization back for the Columbus area, for the Magic side of things. Comics really didn't taper off too much, I don't think, during the pandemic. It may have grown a little bit.
It did, yeah.
A lot of publishers putting out really great comics and series lines. So a big shout out to them, and because at that time we needed it. We needed something that was not another daily update on the news. So that's awesome. Well, Ryan, I want to thank you very much for allowing us to come out here and talk. Thank you for taking the time out of what I'm sure is a very busy schedule for you. And again, we are at Comic Town in Columbus, Ohio. I'm Rick with BCW. That is Ryan. And remember, when it comes to collecting, storing, or displaying your hobbies or collectibles, BCW has you covered.